Welcome, stranger. I decided to make a totally useless video that nobody will need. I recently did a video on how to remove the top cover on an FE2, and before I took down the lights and the recording equipment and set up my desk again for camera repair, I thought I'd go ahead and do a short video on how to set the exposure on an FE2. But there's a catch. You need to have a shutter tester to set the exposure. It's not like a mechanical match needle camera where you can set the exposure, because on a match needle nothing changes. The f16 doesn't change, and the 125 speed doesn't change. The ASA 100 does not change. Your EV15 light source does not change. But with an automatic camera, it will keep changing the exposure constantly, accounting on what settings you use and what the light source is. And so there's no way really to test your exposure unless you have a shutter tester. So, like I said, a useless video. I'm going to show you where the adjustment locations are at. Maybe someday you'll get a shutter tester. If not, you can shoot slides, and if your slides are a little bit too light or too dark, you can use these settings to change your slides a little bit, make them a little bit lighter, or maybe make them a little bit darker. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, you push up like this, down, up. Okay, you've got your forks here. As I've said in other videos, you don't want to use a screwdriver. Just get your tweezers and put them in there and twist this off like so. Okay, to continue, we just remove the knob off here, and now we've got this little spring here. I've lost a lot of these. They're very small, and they roll on the desk, and they'll roll off the desk right onto the floor. Okay, so as you can see now, the spring is out of here and the shaft is loose, and it'll just come down. You might ask what that spring's for. If you didn't have that spring in there, this shaft would just be loose like so. It keeps tension on it. Okay, pull that out, put it with the other rewind parts like so, and the shaft rides inside this tube right here, and the way you get that out of there is to push this way. It's got a lip on it, and it's not going to come. Okay, well then I'll just push it like so, and pull it out like so, and so now we've got this is a C-ring clip, and I really hate those things. And the reason is because to remove them, you got to stick a tool in here and spread this. When you do, I've had literally hundreds of them shoot across the room, and I've lost them. Of course, I had some spares, but still it's aggravating. And it's just something that you have to deal with when you're repairing cameras, is these C-ring clips. So I've got it here now. Let's see, that's probably a good position. Grab my tool here. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. On some videos I can do it on camera, and some I cannot. And what I like to do is spread it, get under it, and then lift it off like so to make sure I don't lose it. If you just stick your tool in there, and magnetic, here's your C-ring clip. Okay, I'm going to put this over here in my dish so I don't lose it. It's the same with all these little parts. If you don't put them in a tray and label them, you will lose them. And I can hear some of you out there saying, no, I won't lose it. Well, life comes up, things, you may set it aside and you may not work on it for another week. You might forget. Okay, you pull this off like so. Now, another learning moment. See if I can get the light a little better on this. The footage you've been watching for the last 3 minutes have been from another previous video called removing the top cover off a FE2. I didn't see any point in reshooting it twice. I edited it down to make it short to get you to this point right here to expose the adjustment on this particular FE2 camera. And it's located right here, that little white tab right there. There we go. See it easy now. It's white plastic sticking up there. It's inside a brass plate here, which is your adjustment point. If you'll see right here, you'll see a screw. You undo that screw, and this brass plate will move forward and backward, and it moves this tab. And you'll say, well, what is that tab attached to? Well, it's attached to a circular plastic wheel, and it's got two contacts on it, and it touches a circular wheel underneath it, which has a resistor. So it changes the resistance that goes to your circuit. I'm going to press this down right here and move this wheel back and forth. And as you can see, as I'm doing that, it's moving that white tab. And the white tab is changing the resistance that goes up to the circuit board. And that tab, or this circuit arrangement, is for the ASA wheel. It also is for this compensator here. You can change your pictures, and you can underexpose, overexpose it, or underexpose it a stop or two stops. So it's kind of all connected. Compensator, the ASA wheel, everything is attached to that little white tab there. So what do we do here? If you're in here, you want to make an adjustment, you undo that screw there, and now when you move, you can move it back and forth. If you look there, you'll see your little brass plate is moving because the screw's loose. Anyway, I'm going to put it back about where it was at. Where was it at? I marked it, I think, earlier when I was working on the camera. But about there, I think. And then you put your screwdriver in it and tighten it down, but just barely. Doesn't need much, just a plate. Okay, oop, Sony. So now that plate's tight, the tab cannot move. And that's how you adjust your, that's your first adjustment on your FE2, is to adjust that little tab there and move it back and forth until you get the your exposure where you want it. Now, if you got a tester, that's easy. It is for me. I have a tester. I just move that tab back and forth till I hit perfect exposure, and then I lock that little screw down. If you don't have a tester, about the only thing you can do is shoot some slides and see if they're too dark or too light, get it to where you want it. It would be troublesome. You would have to adjust it, and then you'd have to shoot your slides, send them off, get them back, and adjust it again, so on and so on. But according to where you move your tab, this direction is lightening it. This side is less exposure. And it's hit or miss. You really need a tester to do it right, but if you don't have a tester, like I said, you can use slides. Now the second adjustment point is right here, and it's a lot more trouble. Now most cameras have this type of system where the adjustment point is on the electronics next to the mirror cage. But the trouble with that is that to get to it, you've got to remove the ASA side. You got to remove your advance lever. You got to remove your speed control. Remove your top cover, then replace your advance, replace your speed control, and replace your ASA. And then you put your sensor on your tester in the back of your camera, and you point it at the light source, and you adjust your pot along here, on which side. It could be on either side, depending on the camera, until you get perfect exposure. And then when you get through, you got to reverse. You got to take this off, and this off, put the top cover back on, and then replace this and this and this. And it's a long process and can take over an hour to get it all done, where this is much simpler. I like this Nikon adjustment point, the way they did this. What else? This one up here is only the adjustment for the A over here, which is aperture. Put that there. This over here will adjust the aperture and the manual settings on the camera. And like I said, it's much better. It takes care of both the manual and automatic settings. Camera shouldn't be off that much to begin with, so if it's only off up to, say, a half a stop, this is perfectly adequate for doing something like that. If the camera requires more, possibly I might go up here and use the pot to adjust the camera, but I don't like doing it because it's a lot of extra work. So, what's next? You know how to adjust the point, first adjustment point. Now the next half or part of this video is going to be on how to adjust the camera with this pot up here. And then we'll wrap it up and call it a day. Okay, let's move on. Okay, we are recording. I kind of combined this video with parts of the remove top cover video. If you're going to make this adjustment, you're going to have to watch the remove top cover video for the FE2 anyway, but this is only a small part of it. You don't need to watch the removing the top cover if you already know how to do it. This is about exposure adjustments, so that's what we're going to be looking at. Move this over here. Okay, which one of these controls the exposure? Last one right here. So I've probably already explained in the first of the video that you can't adjust an automatic camera like this like you can a manual match needle. And I'm looking for something here. There we go, found it. You have to have a tester. So I don't know why you want to adjust this pot unless you have a tester. If you have a tester, it's fine. You should be able to adjust your exposure with this right here. This adjustment here. I forget what that's called. What was it called? Compensator? I don't remember. I'm sure somewhere in the video I've explained it, or if not, I've put it up in text. But that should take care of it. But if this does not have enough play, enough adjustment to adjust your exposure, you can use this right here. Now this is only for the auto section, auto mode. When you set the camera in auto mode, you can move this to adjust your automatic exposure. And that's what this is for. That's where it's not for manual. So I'm going to move my pen down here, which I, on the monitor, just doesn't seem to want to go down far enough. There we go. You see, I left a mark. Why did I do that? I've explained in my other videos that whenever you're working on a camera, you always want to mark where the pots are located, because these are your factory settings, and they're very important. That one, am I doing a good job? Not very. And we've got one last one over here. It's kind of pointed at that dot. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, since the dot's black too. If you have some red paint, you probably want to put some red paint there, but I did get a mark there finally. And you would say, well, why? Because some people just like to adjust things. And if they've got a manual, the manual will say, well, this controls this and that controls that. And they come in and they start adjusting these, and they get the whole circuit out of whack. These were set not by humans, but by machines. Very expensive machines. It probably cost thousands of dollars. The camera is pointed at the light source. These were all set. We call them, in the business, call them factory settings. And normally they don't change the life of the camera. A manual exposure camera with a needle might need some adjustment. But normally electronic cameras like this with a circuit and ICs do not need adjustment. But I did mark them, and if you feel the need to mess with them, at least now, if you totally screw up everything, you know now where your factory settings are, and you can put them all back in the factory settings position and close the camera and know that the camera's okay. But if you want to adjust the auto mode on this camera, and you've got a tester, this is what you move. Go one direction, I forget which is which, and see what your tester says, underexposing, overexposing. If it's not right, then go to the other direction. It shouldn't be much. If a camera, I'm going to mark a mark here, and which maybe I shouldn't, but right about, hard to judge on a monitor. If you've got a camera and you're adjusting the auto mode, if you have to move this further than that far on either side, then there's something wrong with the circuit. And you could possibly go further this way or this way and get it on, but the camera's not fixed. You can't fix a camera with adjustments. You can adjust it, but you can't fix it. If the photocells right here, there's one there, and say one here, if they're getting weak, this is where you normally would make adjustment here. But like I said, if the photocells are so weak that you have to go past this point, then they need to be replaced. A weak photocell that's years old and it's not quite doing its job can need a little bit of adjustment either way, but not much. If it has to go too far, they need to be replaced. It could be something else, but 9 times out of 10 it's a photocell that's getting weak, because electronics and cameras normally do not age in the sense that they change. Normally they're as good as the day they came out of the factory. There are some things that do age, like photocells, but normally the electronics will not change or need to be adjusted. I see right there, made by Nikon. Okay, I'm gonna probably end this video here, since I've shown you the 2 adjustment points. Right here, a quick adjustment, which is your best adjustment, your first adjustment. And then if it's not going far enough and you want to use this adjustment, you can, but it's only for the auto mode switch on the knob. Okay, that's it. Back that off there. As I explained earlier in the video, when I set the playlist for exposure, it was for people to adjust their own with the manual cameras that have a needle match system. Those can be adjusted by just setting up a light panel, setting it EV15, and setting up the camera right. I've got a video on that. But on these automatic cameras, that won't work because no matter what you set your panel for, no matter what you set your camera for, the camera's going to compensate. It's an automatic camera. It's what it's supposed to do. So, like if you're testing a manual camera, you need to set it f16. You need to set it at 125, ASA 100, and then point it at your EV15 panel, which that's all explained in the video I made. You can see if your camera is under overexposing and make adjustments. But on a camera like this, you can't do that. You would actually have to have a tester. And I almost didn't make this video because I realized most people are not going to have testers. But I thought I'd go ahead and make it anyway because it's a popular camera. And people need to know that for a camera like this, you do need a tester. Okay, that's it. Another video in the can. Well, not quite. Still a day's editing probably. Although this is one of my smaller videos. Unfortunately, like I told you at the beginning of the video, you really need a shutter tester to adjust your camera. But at least now, if you have an FM2, you know where the adjustment points are. The one I always use 90% of the time is that adjustment over there on the ASA side, that little white tab. Just undo one screw, move it back and forth till I get it right, and then lock the screw back down, and put it back together, and I'm done. Takes maybe 10 minutes, the whole business. Where if I have to adjust it using the circuit board pot, then I've got to remove all that stuff on the top, and as I showed you, you got to put it back on to test it with, and then after you get through, you got to put the top cover back on and put all this. Takes a good hour or more, and if you have problems longer, I don't like doing that. But ASA, this adjustment system for exposure was really good for Nikon. Did a good job on that. The only one that might be better was the one the Minolta SRTs had. I like those very well too, because you just had to remove the bottom cover to get to it. And I need to stop. Thanks for dropping by. Hope you enjoyed the video. Later.